always thought this woman looked like Susan Hayward. Still do. Of course, with short hair. I want to go back to the original bold letters from the beginning because I think that's kind of it's almost a signature trademark. It wasn't quite as big as the other Rockies, but I thought it started to bring people back into the same feeling. But this time I added images, some of a foreshadowing of things to come that was quite different than the other Rockies. This was a thing I thought about for a lot, vacillating back and forth whether to go with two strangers basically in the opening shot, even though one character will start to become quite pronounced throughout the film because he's one of the major players, which is Antonio Tarver playing Mason Dixon, who just dropped his fella. I thought also going into a blue feel here gives a sense that this is a kind of a foreboding, almost surreal situation that is eventually going to come to prominence as a very real situation later on down the line. So we're taking like a dreamlike situation that'll become a very, very poignant situation later on. The music in here is interesting. Believe it or not, this is a little musical interlude by 3-6 Mafia, taken from the song that will be played at the end of the film. This is just a symphonic interpretation of that.
There's somebody out there. All the boxing was hoping for a warrior.
Those are the actual voices of HBO, the specialist Jim Lampley, Larry Merchant, and I thought that would add to authenticity. This is my brother's song, Take You Back. It was kind of a shot in the dark when we did it the first time, sitting around the trash can in Philadelphia. I thought, okay, we couldn't afford to have any actors, and I thought, okay, why not have my brother, since he is from Philadelphia, sing around a trash can. Little did I know, 30 years later, it would be one of the songs that would be so identified with the Rocky mode of life. So putting it in the beginning of this film, again, brings us even further into nostalgia, which is what I was trying to do. This shot, I thought if we could somehow get a lot into this frame with just the idea of Adrian, we don't see Rocky's face, but we see the turtles first, which is evident that he's so strung out on the past. And he can't get past that. His whole life is like, again, giving things, feeding things. Of course, he's putting some gumdrops out there because that's just Rocky. I like the barrenness of this shot. It's a very utilitarian backyard. It's not meant for fun or anything. People in these neighborhoods just throw tools and debris in the back, and Rocky's just part of that debris. This is kind of a tricky transition because there's nothing more maudlin than in the beginning of a film going to a graveyard. But I thought it was necessary to set the tone. And for a lot of people that had heard that Adrian was not in the film, this is the first realization she is gone. And this scene was necessary to set the tone for the first half of the film. And we'll see to the end, it will pay off. I had this idea about a man going to a graveyard so often that he actually keeps a chair there. It's just an indication that this is his only resort. This is where he goes to seek peace.
You know, the deacon's a little busy sometimes.
We don't get that busy.
Well, let's not talk about it.
homework? I took the tour the last 3 years.
I know, but this graveyard is just outside of Philadelphia. It's truly extraordinary in its size. It's, I mean, they have the grave diggers ball there. They have, I mean, this is kind of an event, this graveyard. You've never seen anything quite like it. It was almost too overwhelming for Adrian to be buried there, but just the location along the river and the different elevations of the stones, I thought was too nice a visual to pass up. Now Rocky goes into a very geometric world, an academic world, structural world, the world of his son. And what I thought would be apparent here is that he really doesn't belong in this kind of environment at all. And it separates him with that glass and revolving door and all that from his son here, who is has grown apart and become a completely different, more intellectual creature. You all around? Go. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, champ? Caught me off guard.
Oh, I caught you off guard. I wanted to catch you before you got too busy.
Yeah, it gets busy up there.
How you doing?
Real good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This was kind of a difficult scene to shoot because the light in the background was blasting through that window. As you can see, it's almost whited out, and rather than try to spend hours and hours, which I didn't have, to try to adjust that, I thought, maybe this is interesting. It'd be kind of an ethereal blowout, and maybe you can create an interesting visual with that rather than just seeing everything so clearly. Exactly what I mean, but I just think that, like, when I come here, you don't feel so comfortable, and I certainly don't want to do that.
Yeah, throw a big shadow.
Big shadow.
I'm done here, Robert. Oh, you're not going to introduce me, then I will. I am William Thomason.
How you doing? Also in the scene, you see that Rocky is kind of at odds. He's
I got to tell you,
he's surrounded by people that are not of his ilk. He realizes this man is completely full of crap, but he still doesn't have the heart to embarrass him. It's just not his nature, but his eyes are dead, and you see he would like to clip him one, but that's what makes the character, I guess, somewhat endearing, is that he just tries to take the high road.
I gotta get going. I'll change my plans for tonight.
That'd be great. I'm looking forward to it. How you doing? Okay. And do not let those numbers drive you crazy.
Too late.
Use an eraser. Get rid of all of them. At one time I shot a scene, believe it or not, I shot it a few times of, right before the sun comes down, he's looking on the escalator here and he sees a woman that looks just like Adrian, and he follows her up to the top of the escalator, and then of course it isn't her, then he comes back down. And I spent a lot of time on that, and I just said, I think we're just pushing the limit too far. This is a scene that I debated about keeping it around, but what it does is show where he really lives, where his heart is. This is where he's comfortable, this is where he's vocal and casual and unself-conscious compared to the environment that his son lives in. He just blends in. He doesn't think of himself as anything special. He's just part of the street here. This is, I assume there's a restaurant that was created maybe 10 years ago by Adrian. It's a restaurant that is much more feminine in the fact that most fighters have a restaurant that is, more about boxing memorabilia, this and that. But this is mostly about opera, things feminine, and and now he's made it kind of a shrine to her. But it's what she created. And the only thing that's in the restaurant is one photo, one painting of Rocky. There's very little about him. It's mostly about her. Yo, how you doing? This is an interesting character. This is the first character I ever boxed with in Rocky 1, when the original Rocky started out in the ring as a camera